Afternoon, everybody, and welcome to PLASA Show. Hope you've had a good day, and thank you very much for coming along to see this first viewing of a very, very important video. So we're going to see that very shortly, but before we do, I'm just going to ask these wonderful people here to introduce themselves, because they form part of a panel, which Andy will talk about a little later once we have seen the video. So over to you, Hannah. Yeah, you go first.
Hi. Hello, my name's Hannah. I run Production Futures, and Production Futures helps young people by providing access to tools, knowledge and connections they need to kickstart and advance their careers in the live events and entertainment industry. Through our in-person events and digital platforms, we ensure that all career pathways are visible for young people and anybody, parents, careers advisors, to enter the industry, regardless of their background and or experience.
Thank you. Rick.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Sunday. Rick Stainton, founder of the Power of Events, set up about 18 months ago for the first time to sort of uniquely showcase the power of the UK events industry with a mission to create better understanding, respect and value for the amazing work as event professionals we all do. Uniquely supported by all the main trade associations, obviously including the wonderful PLASA, and showcasing all the main sort of trade media outlets, about 21 of them. We've got great profiles on there, about 40 support organisations, including the wonderful sort of Production Futures and many others. And we also have a big schools engagement programme rolling out across the country now to engage all the schools in the country within 5 years, about 4,500 of them, to showcase them the wonderful events industry and the opportunity there, and an app as well for data insight. So yeah, very proud to be part of this.
Before I hand over to Andy, just a couple of words of why PLASA are so involved in this. It's clear, certainly from pre-pandemic, but certainly exaggerated by the pandemic, the situation that we have in our sector regarding skills, regarding recruitment, regarding all those things that many of us in this room would have experienced over the last 4 years. So it was kind of critical that something was done with a collaborative approach. And to start the ball rolling, Andy has created something very special, but I'll let Andy talk about that now.
Thank you, Peter. Hi, my name's Andy Dockerty. I'm the founder and director of Adlib, which are a company based in Liverpool that also have Glasgow and London outlets that supply sound, lighting and video for major tours and also for installations. And we've discovered, myself and a couple of the directors over a period of time, that we have a lot of young people coming to us who have numerous degrees in numerous areas, which is great. However, from an industry point of view, most of the requirements that we have aren't covered from education a great deal. And it just dawned on us about 2 years ago that actually it would be really good to start showing young people at a much earlier age, from about 12, some of the roles that are actually available in the live entertainment sector. And with that in mind, I'll shut up for now. We'll play the video and then I'll do a little bit more explaining around the whole collaboration where we're at. So we'll just move out the way so you haven't got our ugly heads in front of you while this is going on. If you would play it, please. Thank you.
So, we've all seen events before, on TV, the internet, or in real life. Whether it's bespoke sporting events, live music and festivals, theatre, exhibitions and congress, business and brand experiences, or weddings and parties. But it's not surprising that very few people know how an event is actually put together. Not to mention all of the people behind the scenes who make it happen. I mean, it's just an artist, a sound person, and a lighting person, right? Well, not quite. It may shock you to find out that there are hundreds of thousands of people that make up the events industry, equipped with a huge array of skills, disciplines, and specialisms that make them valuable assets in putting together these amazing feats. Every type of event has its own unique production process, so it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. But for this video, we're going to explore the process and the people that put together a major national touring production for a popular music artist, counting all the jobs, roles, and tasks that go into taking this incredible spectacle from paper to reality. Ready? So, let's start with a major artist and their manager. They've recorded an album and now they want to promote it with a major national tour. So they team up with a promoter, who has a team of bookers, administration staff, designers and marketing experts that book the venues, arrange the fees, package the tour, liaise with a ticketing partner, and make the tour a reality. Once that's done, we now have a poster created, ticket links generated, and the artist can announce the tour. So now the venues, dates and locations are in the bag, we need a show to take on the road. And for this, the management team needs 3 things: a creative show design team, a production manager, and a technical production company. The creative show design team has a creative lead who talks to the artist and gets all of their inspiration and ideas for the show. This creative lead then takes those initial ideas and utilizes their team of 3D modelers, visual artists, lighting designers, and concept designers to come up with the stage, lighting, and content designs for the show, including any variations that occur for songs in the artist's set list. All of this is then compiled into a creative treatment, which is then sent to the artist for approval. And as long as the artist is happy, it's signed off and handed over to our production manager, who takes this creative treatment and liaises with the technical production companies to figure out what's required to make it a reality. And this all starts with the
account manager.
And the account manager's first job is to get all of the vital information about the gig.
I'm looking for dates, a location, what screens they want, what lighting fixtures they want, what consoles they want.
And the account manager needs to use this information to create 2 things. 1, an idea of what the gig will look like, and number 2, a quote, or a price, which is what the client will end up paying in order to make the gig happen. But in order to get that quote, we need to hand this through a few more people. The account manager gets all of the basic information such as dates, locations, show designs and requirements and hands it over to the project managers. 1 for lighting.
I'll look at what the artist needs, all the way from the rigging that's required, truss, lights, to make the show happen.
1 for video.
So we do a lot of the planning, working out how we're going to connect the screens and the cameras together, and working alongside the camera team, the content team, to make sure that everything gets delivered.
And 1 for audio.
We'll build 3D models for each venue to create an audio system design. And at this stage, we can be chatting about sightlines and reducing the visual impact of the speaker system, channel lists, microphone choices, consoles, any specific requirements they may have.
And once each project manager has figured out exactly how they can make the gig happen, we compile all of this into a big technical plan, or CAD. A pre-visualization designer then takes this CAD and converts it into a 3D model of the gig, of which reference images and videos are made so that the client can see what the gig will look like before they press go. All of this then goes back to the account manager.
I'll quote everything up to include crew, equipment, transport, as well as attaching any health and safety documentation, and then I'll get that sent off to the client.
And once the client approves, it's finally time to make the gig happen. After receiving the green light, the account manager hands this all back to a lead project manager who then hands the signed-off designs to 2 teams. Firstly, the technical team, who do quite a lot of things.
We cover all disciplines, specify equipment, and make sure everything works from a technical perspective.
But a lot of this equipment isn't just going to sit on the ground. Things like speakers, lights, and LED wall, well, they're going to be hung from the ceiling, or flown. And if this is a tour, we're not just doing this in one building, but many, many, many buildings of very different sizes. And the person who figures out exactly how we can make this work has quite a niche job.
I'm a rigging technical designer. I'm looking at how heavy the rig is, where things need to be positioned, how we're going to get cable to the various positions, and translating it into a set of plans so that the next person can see what it is that they need to achieve.
So now we know what we need, when we need it, and how it goes together. It's time to move on to the many other jobs, roles, and tasks. And to kick us off,
I'm a compliance and health and safety manager.
Nah, but in all seriousness, this is actually very important.
It's my responsibility to ensure that everyone is safe on site. There are many risks, and it's important for me to enforce the health and safety plan as specified within the RAMs.
Thanks, Gareth.
You're very welcome.
So, speaking of people, well, we need to find some. Camera operators, audio engineers, lighting designers, technicians, riggers, and they're all found and managed by...
Head of Logistics. We look after schedule.
My role is to match crew and people to gigs based on their skill level and the equipment that's being used.
And that takes care of freelancers. But what about all the full-time staff that we have?
I am an HR manager. I help the company recruit new staff. I help with all the contracts and that sort of thing and answer any HR queries that they may have along the way.
And let's not forget, all of these people need to be paid.
I am a payroll manager. I pay people each month and answer any payroll queries that anyone might have.
And speaking about being paid, what happens when we have to pay?
I am an assistant management accountant. Mostly I look after purchasing, so I ensure that all the suppliers are paid on time, I make sure pro formas are paid, and I also deal with freelancers and making sure they're paid.
But with all this money coming in and going out, we also need to make sure we have someone who's on top of all that.
I'm head of finance. I manage the day-to-day finances, make sure you've got enough cash to pay suppliers and staff, and obviously report on the financial performance to the board.
Okay, so we know how people are kept safe, we also know how they're paid, and how we find them. But let's not forget, it's not just the people we need to get on the road, it's also the equipment, which is handled by an assets team.
We make sure that everything that is put on the event is ready to go out.
But sometimes when equipment is out on the road, things can go wrong.
Sometimes if things break, it gets fault reported.
And that asset, whether it be a console, a light, a speaker or a camera, gets handed over to the service team, who have a team of engineers who can hopefully repair it and get it back out on the road. And speaking of the road, we also need someone who can get all of the people and the equipment to all of the different locations that they need to be, otherwise known as a
logistics coordinator. My role is largely organising how the equipment gets from the warehouse to the gig, whether that's through our internal fleet or through external trucking.
And when it comes to that equipment, some of it can be quite expensive. So we want to make sure it's properly packaged, and this is where having a team of carpenters and joiners comes in handy. After all these decisions have been made, equipment booked, people hired and locations and dates confirmed, it's finally time to put it all into action. So a few days before the gig heads out, we hand all of this over to the warehouse. Enter our warehouse manager.
I take all the information and I make sure the right people within the right departments know what's happening, what space it's going to be in, how much space it's going to take, how much time it's going to take, what vehicles it's going to go on to, and who's going to come in to look after that particular show.
So once the warehouse manager receives the job, it's then handed over to the individual prep technicians, who collect, test, and prepare the equipment to head out onto the road, whether that be for audio, video, rigging, lighting, cables, or power. Once the equipment has been collected, it's then moved to the designated preparation area, or prep bay. It's there that show engineers can finalize any adjustments to the equipment and make any customizations relevant to the gig. For example, video engineers may want to change a camera's resolution or frame rate. Lighting engineers may want to program a desk and fine-tune any fixture settings, and audio engineers may want to test speakers, microphones, and customize any console settings they need for the event. Once they're all happy, the equipment is packed down and handed over to a warehouse operative, who are crucial when it comes to getting a gig out the door. The warehouse operatives make sure the correct case is wheeled to the correct loading bay, and then it's over to our dispatch manager. The dispatch manager Warehouse operatives then set up any ramps or lifting equipment needed, the trucks are labelled with their department, and our dispatch manager begins the loading process. The dispatch manager directs the truck pack with the help of the warehouse operatives, scanning barcodes on each piece of equipment as it leaves the loading bay. Those barcodes correspond with items on the equipment list, meaning that once the load is finished, the list is complete and everything is accounted for. Then the truck driver shuts the doors, locks the trailer, hops in the driver's seat, and starts the journey towards the first venue of the tour. And now with all of our trucks on the road, the technicians and crew arrive at the warehouse and board the tour bus, where a specialist driver safely takes them to the venue, making sure to keep on schedule whilst not waking up any of the sleeping crew members on board. And to be fair, there are plenty of places they could be heading to. In the UK alone, there are around 7,000 live music venues. 17 of them are arenas, more than 200 are stadiums, we have up to 1,000 festivals a year, as well as 4,000 theatres, hundreds of live venues, clubs, bars, academies, halls, and auditoriums. And once the crew and equipment have arrived at the doors and prepares the arena for the arrival of our first crew members, who are briefed by our health and safety representative, who conducts the health and safety briefing before any work takes place. And once that's complete, up first is the catering team, who bring in and set up all of their touring catering equipment in the venue kitchen, as well as stations for snacks, treats, refreshments, and of course the most important of all, the coffee station. It's this team of chefs and catering staff that will prepare multiple food options for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, ensuring there's something tasty for every dietary requirement. Meanwhile, back in the venue, it's over to our production rigger, who takes our rigging plot, which was put together earlier by our rigging technical designer, and draws marks on the arena floor to indicate the location of each predetermined rigging point. Then our first truck arrives, delivering all of the motors that we need. Our rigging crew then take these motors and wheel each one to its designated mark, opening their cases and dropping their rigging hooks on the floor, making sure to pull out some slack on the chains. Some more riggers then lift these hooks up to the rigging grid via a rope and attach them to their predetermined rigging points. And now we've got rigging underway, we begin the process of tipping the rest of the trucks in a specific order, as determined by our production manager. And this is where we need the help of our crew chief, who liaises with our stage manager to direct the unloading of the trucks using a local crew to move the correct equipment to the correct location. And this will allow our technicians to build their respective department's equipment. Up first is our dimmer technician, who uses the local crew and any forklift operators required to unload and move the dimmer units to the right location. Then the rest of the lighting fixtures and lighting trusses are unloaded and wheeled to the correct place, where our lighting technicians will join them together and connect any cables before attaching them to the relevant motor and sending them up into the sky. While this is happening, the rest of the trucks are unloaded and their contents wheeled to the correct location. And for those who aren't busy, breakfast is served. Which now means that our other departments can begin their builds. For audio, our system technicians begin building any speaker arrays that are being flown, checking the angle of each box and sending them up into the air. Meanwhile, video technicians begin building LED walls and any projection screens needed for the event. Production carpenters finish any staging elements and pop them into place. And at this point, we visit front of house, where all of the operation equipment for lighting and audio is built, such as the audio mixing console and the lighting operator console. Backstage, our wardrobe designer begins populating dressing rooms with the correct outfits and wardrobe elements for the performing artists. And it's now time for the crew to head back to catering and help themselves to lunch. Back to it. And because this specific show has a rolling stage, the head carpenter gathers all available crew and rolls the stage into place. Once the stage is in position, audio technicians begin positioning any ground-stacked loudspeakers with the help of local crew. Special effects technicians will start building air cannons, pyrotechnics, as well as any other special effects required for the show. And while they do that, our lighting technicians place any on-stage fixtures or lighting equipment, while the projectionist builds and positions projectors and aligns them to their screens. Camera operators build their respective positions following the director's camera plot, and PTZ operators will also position and cable up their robotic cameras, as well as setting up their control rig backstage. Then the racks engineer checks signal and pictures from all the cameras and ensures all the camera settings, resolutions, and color profiles are matched. The director then checks these pictures and angles to make sure that all the required shots can be achieved. And our media server operator checks playback on any content for the screens. Our lighting designer then heads to front of house and begins programming, checking the alignment of all the lighting fixtures and preparing the rig for the show. Over in Monitor World, our RF technician builds any necessary antenna and sets up the wireless audio systems, whilst our monitor technician sets up their mixing console and loads up their show file. Out front, the system technician now tunes the PA, ensuring all the boxes and speakers are working together and providing the required coverage across the venue. Remember the project manager's 3D model from before? Well, this is where we make it a reality. On stage, our backline technicians arrive, who are responsible for all of the equipment that the performers use. So the guitar tech sets up amplifiers and tunes the guitars, the drum tech sets up and tunes the drum kit, and the keyboard tech powers up and prepares the keyboards and synthesizers. The amplifiers and vocalists, assigning the correct input to each channel for the mix and monitor engineers. Back out front, the system technician has finished tuning the PA and hands it over to the front of house mix engineer. who then performs a line check to make sure every microphone and channel signal is being received. The front of house engineer then uses this time to tweak the sound of the PA in preparation for sound check. Meanwhile, backstage, our tour manager arrives and catches up with the promoter rep, who checks sightlines, manages seating arrangements, guest lists, and the artist settlement. And as we approach 3 p.m, the artist party starts to arrive. The artist's manager and management team, A&R reps from the artist record label, the artist's personal security team, and the merchandise manager, who starts distributing merchandise to the designated kiosks in the venue. And now it's time for sound check. The artist takes to the stage, which could consist of a single vocalist or an entire band, with a drummer, guitarists, keys players, percussionists, backing vocalists, musical directors, brass players, string sections, or even an entire orchestra. And they all use soundcheck to run through a handful of songs of varying energy levels, allowing the mix engineer to tweak the sound of the mix, as each song in every venue can sound completely different. It also allows all of the performers on stage time to check their monitor mix, which is the only way they can hear what they're playing and what the people around them are playing. Once sound check is complete and everyone is happy, the main artist and band clear the stage and make way for the supporting artist, who also need to sound check. The stage is handed over to the support artist's team, who also have their own mix engineer, monitor engineer, lighting designer, and playback engineer. Once they've had their sound check and everyone's happy, it's now time for everyone to head back to catering for a well-earned break. And dinner, which allows all of the crew time to eat, chat, rest, and have some all-important downtime before the big show. But for the rest of the venue, it's finally time for doors. So at this point, you may be thinking that the hard work is all over. Well, no. Not only are we bringing back our technicians and engineers to operate the show, but we also now have a whole host of other staff involved. Box office staff to handle ticket collection and sales, bar staff and bar managers to provide refreshments for the crowds, venue reps for VIPs and special guests, merch vendors to sell the artist's merchandise, security personnel to manage entrances, exits, and any situations that might occur, as well as paramedics who are on hand to aid any medical emergencies. Then, of course, we've got photographers, videographers, journalists, and music bloggers, and if this gig is being recorded or broadcast, we then need staff who can manage that, such as a broadcast mix engineer who mixes audio specifically for TV, a broadcast producer who liaises with the live team to make sure everything runs smoothly, and a record engineer who manages the recording of the video and audio captured at the gig. Not to mention, they may also bring even more camera operators, PTZ operators, sound recordists, runners, directors, and post-production managers. And after we've gone through all of this, we welcome in you. The audience, who make all of this possible, enjoying every hit, song, and big moment. And once the show is over, we pack it all in a truck and do it all over again. And again. And again. Bringing you, on average, a gig every 4 minutes, generating £5.2 billion a year in live music events alone, and sustaining more than 200,000 jobs. So, which one's for you? Well, to find out more, visit this link for more information on how you can begin your journey into the live events industry.
There you go. Can we just fade that little bit of tinkly backing music out, please? Should we come back up here, please, team, if that's okay? So when we finished this video, it took about 2 years to do between all of the projects we had on. That gentleman at the back there, Brad, is the genius behind it and the voice behind it. Brad, please give us a wave. What we realised was that when this was actually done, completed about 3 months ago, I was just very keen to get it out there, because as of tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, it will be available on YouTube for anyone and everyone to have. And at that point of it being, yes, that'll be fabulous, Andy, yes, send it out, brilliant, great idea. Adlib's going to look fabulous for about a week. And then what happens after that when we can't deal with the potential traffic that comes in of the people that were interested? which then made us realise that we actually need to make this a lot bigger and involve companies and organisations who are far better equipped than Adlib are to actually take this on and develop it a lot further. And when we spoke to Rick and we spoke to Hannah and we also spoke to John at Live, we'll just have to do a quick thing about John. John, unfortunately, from Live, is the organisation that really represents our sector well at government level. John Collins, the CEO of that, is actually at home with a badly sprained, almost broken ankle. And I do believe the reason for that is he's a season ticket blue, and we were 2-0 up after 87 minutes, and we lost 3-2. So I can only assume that whatever happened in about the 96th minute of the match yesterday. So unfortunately, John, through injury, isn't with us today. But Live will be the part of the organisation, the collaboration. They will be the part of it that is lobbying to government on behalf of our sector about what we need, what assistance we need within education and how we progress. And the other involvements, the one thing I want to say before I pass it over to the team is the one thing that we have found as an employer is the young people who hit us at about 14 on work experience, who have had an awareness of the industry or they've had relatives in the industry but have found out about us, are excited to be involved at that age, and they're the ones who come back to us as soon as they can at 16, and they're the ones who've been the most successful that we've had. What we want to achieve with this is to get it into 12-year-olds to try and excite young people to come into the sector, because we're invisible. We're invisible outside of what we all do. So for me, it is the important thing about this is getting young people to see what the industry is, to try and excite them. And if some of them are getting excited by it and then they've got the passion for it, I do believe what we will get coming through into the industry and into the sector are a group of young people who've got a lot more passion. That's our goal with it. The team here are far better placed than we are to take that on. So I'm going to pass over to Rick first and then Hannah to do a little bit on their bit.
Thanks, Andy. Well, I hope, like Hannah and Peter and John and Andy and the team at Adlib, I hope you all agree it's a pretty incredible video. And I would just like to congratulate Adlib and the team for all their hard work over the last 2 years or so. Thank God finally someone's managed to actually explain how to put a gig together for the benefit of 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds, or anyone who wants to come into industry of any age, frankly. The reason the Power Events is very proud to be part of this is we were set up 18 months ago to simply answer the question, where's the one place you can go or 500 business supporters ranging from the biggest names to the smallest and everything in between. There are associations, pretty much all of the main ones, and the trade press, the university support organisations, all backing it. And if you haven't heard of us, please have a look at our platform. But the main reason we're involved in this is our mission, as I said at the beginning, is to gain better understanding, respect and value for our world-leading industry across all the 7 sectors we've defined, obviously, which music is a big part of it, alongside the business brand experiences and theatre and weddings and the public events and exhibitions, congress. They're all as relevant to this as anything, because it gives amazing insight into the breadth of skills, the breadth of jobs. And as part of our schools engagement programme, we have a mission to get in front of all the schools in the UK within 5 years, about 4,200 of them. We started a pilot in the east of England a few months ago. We did 40 schools, engaging 6,500 young people. We're going to 3-4 new regions. The year, which will end up probably being about 500 schools, totaling about 200,000 young people, and that's just going to catapult in over the next couple of years. So we're aiming to get in front of millions of people, get young people between the age of 12 and 16. The reason I mention that is 2 things. If you'd like to get involved and be an ambassador to come and present in your local school in your region, let us know. If you'd like to sponsor a region, let us know. We've got loads of amazing sponsors getting involved to help fund it. But we have a big plan, a big mission, and a great activation. And just to conclude, we asked the children at the beginning of the presentation, put your hands up if you've ever heard or know of what the events industry is, and ever considered a career in it. The average across the 7,000 pupils so far is 1% put their hands up. And then we do the presentation of the power events, the 7 sectors overview, all these amazing organisations that support us, and we ask the same question after half an hour. Do you now know what the events industry is, and would you be inspired to consider a job in it? The average so far is 65% of the kids have put their hands up. And then we see a spike of visits that evening, their parents, guardians, carers, whatever, and teachers looking at the platform, seeing all the amazing organisations that we signpost people to, whether they're looking at apprenticeships or internships or direct recruitment or skills course at university. So this video is going to accelerate the inspiration, the understanding, most importantly, of the range of the jobs. There is a job for everyone in this industry, whatever their academic levels, their interests. And again, I can't wait to accelerate across both the 7 sectors of our community, but also to the young people through our schools engagement program, this video. And it's a real privilege to be part of it. So that's why we're involved. Thank you.
We've been seeing our Production Futures visitors getting younger and younger, and lots more parents, lots more careers advisors, and it's so important to highlight these hidden job roles. So thanks, Andy, and all the team that you've worked so hard to do what I think everybody wanted to kind of do. So you've done it, thank you. But to do this as a collaboration is really important because everything relies on collaboration now, everything. And if you're not collaborating, then why? Anyone who isn't is being left behind, actually. So it's wonderful to be a part of this. And for us, you know, we're seeing, because all of our marketing is done digitally, so our social media channels, TikTok, Instagram, I mean, yeah, we hit in lots of different ages, but for us, it's the minute someone's on social media, we want to be there in front of them as an industry, and parents before that. So we want them to know what the pathways are, and it's not been clear. And we really can't wait to see what comes of this, and to see all the different pathways into it. But yes, getting to them younger is so important. So with the power of events going to schools, us meeting young people from the age of 12, 13 with their parents, and then up to, you know, mid-career change, you know, there are so many, it's an ageless thing. It's not just young people, it's just making the industry visible is so important, and we can only do that together.
Why PLASA involved in it? It's very simple, really. Andy said that we are invisible, and Hannah touched on a collaboration. One thing that the pandemic taught us, all individual organisations are all striving to do their own things, was that it didn't matter how we presented ourselves to anybody else outside of our sector. We would just appeared to be muddled. We appeared to be not a single voice. There was too many voices trying to say similar things. So I think the pandemic has helped us understand how we need to become less invisible. And the way we do that is through collaboration, which is exactly what Hannah said. Now, one of the things that PLASA has as part of their membership are organisations. And what you'll find out tomorrow, certainly when it's launched, is how those organisations can help the process when young people register their interest in our sector. So we'll be reaching out to our members initially, and then the wider group of companies as how you can help. Because it's not just down to educational systems to make this happen, it's down to all of us here if we want to see our sector flourishing over the next 20 to 25 years. Back to you, Andy.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah, and just again, from an Adlib point of view, we are, the enthusiasm that we've had from the team is we are really, really proud of this collaboration. I'm flattered that the team wanted to be so much part of what this video is, and I think it is something that as a collaboration will work incredibly well, or I'm certainly hoping that it does. And yeah, it's there for everybody to share. There's other little things that when you actually go onto the QR code, it will then take you to, I don't know if we can put that up actually, Steve, if you're about somewhere for us. That will take you to a description about the collaboration, the partners involved, where they will then direct you to the best skills to have of the thing. But one of the things that we have got on there as well is if you're a youngster who's watched the video and I'll take my history for argument's sake, and you've looked at audio and think, wow, I'd like to be a systems technician, and you're 12 years old, what we are doing at that point is guiding them down the relevant GCSEs or equivalent subjects that they should be taking to actually get them somewhere at 16 that will hopefully really help them and give them the founding. Something they mightn't have done if they hadn't seen this beforehand. But there's plenty more of that kind of stuff to follow on with as well. So, yeah, it's something that I think the industry has needed. I am incredibly proud that we've done it. I'm proud of everyone that's come together, and particularly Brad, who put it together with his team to understand exactly what it was that we needed and how he's actually interpreted it, I think is phenomenal. So any other comments or any questions anyone would like to ask us about it? Yes, sir.
Before you do your question. No, I'll do it. It's all right, I'll do it. Yeah, you've got to talk into a microphone now. It's a microphone, talk.
It's all right. Here you go. Don't take any pictures, especially you. The regions, God damn it. The regions that you talked about, obviously starting that rollout. In terms of how they have been picked, is there a criteria that they? I think in my mind I was like, oh, there's not much north there, and that's what is screaming in terms of the country and what they're looking for, apart from obviously the mighty Liverpool. But were there any considerations in terms of what you were picking there?
Yeah, there'll be an announcement before the end of the year of a major northern city, potentially linked to my aforementioned friend to my right, and Scotland as well, and London. And the reason they were chosen is they were the first ones that, frankly, sponsors came up with a few quid collaboratively. Example, Birmingham was sponsored by NEC Group, Neon, big arena services, and DRPG, big brand experience agency. South Coast is Event Academy, Identity, I can't remember the others, doesn't matter. But the point is, they came forward, and we are now just launching, and Hertfordshire is about 4 or 5 agencies and a couple of production agencies like Absolute and so on. So yeah, there is no limit. We can roll out another 3-4 regions. London is huge. There's 300-400 schools in the sort of major Great London area. That's going to take a lot of investment, but there's a lot of people interested, obviously, because they're based in London. A couple of major northern cities are very interested. It's just time versus return. So yeah, it was not regionalist. It's cross 4 nations, 100%. No, good. You've got to start somewhere, so there we go.
Any other questions?
Can I just mention the MBAC as well, that Andy Burnham's bringing the technical level, the T level, or the technical route, and he's certainly rolling it out in Manchester, so that's something we're working with GMCA on, and with you guys as well. So that's something we'll be looking at next. But it's about levelling up that apprenticeship route to degree level. So that will be going into schools as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's very exciting. I'd just like to point out, we are in competition with lots of other industries. The 12 to 16-year-olds are bombarded. When we go to the schools engagement, we are doing presentations alongside the Army, the NHS, architects, building firms, banks, God knows what else. And our content is the best goddamn content in the world to show them. So unless we tell them that it's a bit more than they have a preconception of it's Glastonbury and weddings, no disrespect to either Glastonbury or wedding sector because they're big supporters of the power events, but that is the preconception of 12 to 16-year-olds, that is the whole events industry. They don't get what everyone here in this room and elsewhere does because they don't see it. It's never been communicated to them in a really simple way in their school environment. So we're in competition against lots of other industries, and this video, with the work of Hannah and PLASA and Live and the Power Events collaboratively, will be a competitive advantage, I hope, going forward for the long-term resilience of this industry, and that's what's so exciting.
Rick, I'm sorry to not taking over, but we did a brand activation at a festival at Bloodfest a couple of weeks ago. Oh my goodness, like the parents and the young people that we met were 12, some as young as 11, have no idea. Absolutely, we met hundreds. It was a career highlight for us that day because we could not believe the confusion, how invisible we were. So there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah, just And that's it. We are an invisible industry, and we've got to stop that. And if we're going to look at getting talent in, we have to start telling people what we do. We only know what we do within our own footprint, I'm afraid. And I think we've got to come out of that. Hopefully this goes a long way towards making that happen. Education does a great job of doing what education does, but most of these roles aren't covered within education, and that's where we need to start getting some help and assistance of being able to promote the jobs that are needed by the businesses, not the ones that can easily be taught. And that's what we need to be sort of aiming towards. On that, one last thing there, Peter, the other
slide.
QR code, please, if you would be so kind. So that's a very big black part of it. Yeah, there's a code about to come up any second now, hopefully. And that's a PLASA survey that is, that's still the other one. It's a PLASA survey that is being done for, about skills, about people's thoughts of the skills or the lack of skills within the sector at the minute. It's for everybody, but I think from an employer's perspective, it would be good to have a look at that, please, and respond accordingly to what you think. That would be lovely. Thank you. Oh, John's got a question at the back.
It's more just around the launch from tomorrow, and maybe explain a little bit about from 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah, good point, well made. Yeah, so as of 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, anybody can have this video. It is available on YouTube. It's liveevents.careers on YouTube. It's out for anyone and everyone. Please get it yourself, get people to share it here, there and everywhere. Let's let people know what we do.
How will we find it? Is it on this code?
Yeah.
This code here?
Yeah, liveevents.careers.
Really wanted reassurance, and it was lovely talking to her because you were able to reassure her that it's not what she thought it was.
It's absolute proof that it's a real career. It's not, there's still such an image of the 1980s roadie throwing a speaker box on the side of a stage, and that's what parents still think. So it is very much, this is real. It's as real as anything else, if not more so now. And that's the sector. We all know it because we're in it. It's again selling, because a lot of the time you've got to sell it to the parents as well. And we think, as a byproduct, this was about the roles and the jobs in the industry. As a byproduct of that, it's actually a mini documentary about how a gig goes together, which is also, I can imagine the amount of roadies will watch this and then their family go, so what is it you do? And you try and explain it and you can't. Here, watch this, that will tell you. So I can see things like that definitely coming out of it as well. Any last questions, anybody? Yes.
Mine's not a question. I just want to say thank you for doing what you did on our behalf, because it's something most of us would have probably wanted to put together, but you've actually done it for us. So we have that tool now to use at our careers events when we go out. We go to loads of things. We've got theatre craft, all of those things that we go out and go to local schools anyway. But it's like you say, how do you actually say it? Well, now we can put a screen up, and we will be able to show this and say, look, you can come and watch this, or we'll get a room. And it actually is something I think that we've all wanted for a long time, but not many of us have the time to do it. But you took the time to do it, and I think we should say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, folks. It's for all of us. It's for all of us. And we have been fortunate enough to have the time to do it, haven't you, Brad? Yeah. I was great, weren't you, Brad? Thank you all very much. And it's 9 a.m. in the morning. Just please share it as much as you can. Thank you very much indeed, everybody.